Hello, how's it going? Alex here, back again, ready to do chapter 6 review of Quiet Mind Epic Life. Let's get into it. So, chapter 6, the title is The Hidden Motives to Survive. The hidden motives to survive are what fuels the survivor mind to be living or even to be awoken. Hidden motives to survive, also abbreviated, I call it HMS for short, create the false illusion that strategizing, mourning, soaking, and even prophesying will produce a quiet mind epic life. So the mind has a tendency to make you feel like, let me take a step back and, obviously there's a time and place for everything, but many times in your life when you start to analyze it, there's a lot of times you start strategizing or soaking over things or even prophesying things that don't even really play out or even directly apply to your life. For example, let's say you are in sales and you're preparing to do a bunch of cold calls. A lot of times you'll start saying, oh, let me, or if you're starting a door knock, right? Either or, it's interchangeable. Let's say you're about to start door knocking. You already started making calls for a while, and now it's time to add another source of another lead source for income and finding new business. So you say, let me go person to person, let me door knock so I could generate some more leads. A lot of times people will start thinking, oh, but the drunk monkey will start strategize and say, maybe I should start door knocking at 5 p.m. because everyone's home instead of doing it at 1 p.m. that I originally thought I should do it. Or maybe I should do it in the morning because more people are older in the morning, and the older they are, chances are there's a higher possibility of selling. All this strategizing, when in reality, you would be making so much more progress if you just picked the time and started. Period. Like, no talking, no planning into that, just doing it. Because all that strategizing is pointless because you will never know what the actual outcome is until you try it, right? If I, like, perfect example, one of my colleagues, because I was guilty of this at the beginning too, I would door knock at 6 p.m. and then I had a schedule where on Tuesdays and Wednesdays I do 3 p.m. and then Saturdays, Sundays I do in the morning. And my schedule was so all over the place, and it was me planning and creating these ideas in my head that, oh, I can be able to capture the whole market if I door knock these days. At the end of it, my schedule was so complicated, I barely even went because I didn't really know what time I had to go anywhere. By the time I got used to going at 6 p.m. and forming my schedule, my routine on that, came the weekend, and now I have to start door knocking in the morning. And it was a lot for me to adjust to and get used to when I could have just kept it real simple. So in my head, though, in my reality, I was so stuck. I was at the cooler by my office talking to one of my colleagues about his door knocking schedule because um, he's one of the high producers in the office as well, and I always like to bounce off of other people who I see creating results. And he's like, I'm like, hey, so what are you doing? I see you're doing well in this specific area. What are some tips? And he's like, I just go out and door knock at 7 a.m. every day, and that's it. And in my head, I'm strategizing so much, I'd even fathom the idea of doing it at 7 a.m. So it just goes to show you, even when you do strategize, you're not even creating the win all solution. You might not even have the seed of the win all solution in your head, for example, until you start trying it, right? Until you just start taking action. And it didn't even fathom me to do it at 7 a.m. And obviously, my drunk monkey started reacting again when he told me that. And I said, 7 a.m.? You're not going to find anyone at 7 a.m. That's too early. Come to find out, this man is like 4 listings a month, crushing it by door knocking at 7 a.m. Just picked up a listing, matter of fact, not too long ago, from a famous book author who lived in the area he was door knocking at 7 a.m. In fact, the book author appreciated him being out there so early at 7 a.m. opposed to at another time where he could have missed him, or shows that he has a lot less of a dedication to reaching people. So in fact, door knocking 7 a.m. has not only gotten the results I'd even think could get it, according to my drunk monkey, but also it disregarded my theory that it's negative to door knock at 7 a.m. because in fact there was someone who not only gave him the business but gave it to him mainly. One of the main reasons was because he did it at 7 a.m. So it just goes to show you another prime example. Um, you know, your survival mind, that HMSs will make you think, will create a false illusion that strategizing, mourning, sulking, and prophesying will create a quiet mind, epic life, when that's really not the case many of the times. HMSs work to create a survival based existence. Your needs are already met, so using and following the motives from the HMSs will only block your path to thriving and experiencing enlightened states. If I have a GPS that specifically gets me to, I'm in New York, so if I had a GPS that specifically only gets me to Midtown, but I'm trying to get to uh, downtown, right? If I use that GPS to get me to Midtown, that is only going to get to Midtown, and I'm expecting my head as a goal, wanting to get to downtown, what are my chances of even achieving that, right? The survival mind, the HMS is being the GPS to Midtown, okay? By taking that mind process and installing that GPS into my head and expecting to get downtown, that's a losing battle. If I want to get downtown, I need to use the GPS that specifically tell me how to get downtown, not how to get to Midtown. And that would be using the enlightened states. And I hope that made sense if I was able to break that down fully to a way that you guys can digest it. But long story short, the survival mind and the HMSs are professionals and only built to create a system for you to be revolved in a survival state, in survival environments. And if you are thriving and go off of your survival mindset, what do you think that's going to get you? Right back to your survival arenas, okay? Worrying about food, shelter, bare necessities. And that is clearly not what you want to do or be at in a position like that in, 2020, in America, and anywhere across the world. Because obviously, if you're watching a video like this, you're looking to be thriving and feeling on top of the world and experiencing happiness, even in, your success, your business realms. So you follow that survival based mindset, you follow the hidden motives to survive and fall and succumb to them, you will be on a one-way ticket to head to your survival based existence. Okay, you need to avoid that and be aware of when it's happening. Each hidden motive to survive is an invisible energy field that is deep within your personality, soul, DNA, and your chakras. Okay, the hidden motives to survive are so deep within you. It's not surface level. And a lot of people will think it's surface level when they're facing these things and go, and this is why they say, oh, why can't I just X? Why can't I just Y? Why can't I just Z? Why can't I just quit smoking? Why can't I just wake up and make the calls? Why can't I just door knock and say hi to these sellers and ask for their business? Why can't I just call my friends and say, who do they know looking to purchase a product that I'm selling? It's deeper than that. Okay, a lot of times when you're avoiding doing these actions that you should be doing, there's a deeper meaning that revolves around survival and these HMSs. Okay, a lot of times you're resisting, and we're gonna talk about this more in the chapter, but perfect example is a lot of people, they don't want to make calls, they don't want to do a lot of these things. It's because not because they're, sometimes it's not because they're even afraid or because they're lazy. It's because they fear rejection. These HMSs are so deep within your DNA, right? Like we just spoke about, your ancestors, your tribal ancestors, were afraid of moving away from the pack, because if they moved from the pack, that meant they were at risk of dying. And in a social setting for humans specifically, one of the biggest ways to be part of the pack is to fit in, right? To do things according to the beat of the drum that everyone else is in. And if you're feeling like, or if you take it as being a salesperson in this day and age, fast forward so many eras and generations, asking people uncomfortable questions, asking people for their business, trying to close a sale, trying to ask a girl out, trying to ask a guy out, you're technically pinning yourself at jeopardy for receiving a no, which is perceived as rejection, which your survivor mind perceives as being rejected from a pack, from the pack. And if you're rejected from the pack, what's that mean? You're at risk of surviving. And if you're at risk of surviving, what does that mean? You're at a chance of dying. Your brain sees it like this. And it's like that. Those thoughts are so quick, you don't even see it be panned out like that. But when you start to think about it, it's so evident. And it was like that in my life as well, and a lot of people I know. HMSs are fundamental building blocks of survival consciousness, like what the elemental periodic table is to the world. So, prime example of this statement is look at your periodic table. Okay, you look at one of the elements. Oxygen makes up so many parts of our society. Now, if your mind was a society, okay, and the HMSs was the periodic table, a lot of these elements in the HMSs elements are what creates, how to explain this, are what creates a lot of these things that build up your life, that are the carbons, the oxygens, the hydrogens to your life, okay? And we're going to get more into that and break it down. But one prime example I can think of to give you guys something to work with, okay, one of the HMSs, hidden motives to survive, is illogical rules, okay? That is a huge element in the periodic table of the mind's society, okay? And like I said, that element, illogical rules, makes up so much of our foundation. For example, growing up, if you were a woman, there's a huge pressure to say, you need to have kids by X, Y, and Z. You need to have a man. You need to know your place in the workforce. You need to be a great provider for your husband. And these things are all rules that were passed down by someone else. These weren't tell-all rules given to you by God, or given to you that meant if you don't do this, you're gonna die. And maybe at one point, these rules stemmed from something that our prehistoric, our tribal, primal ancestors did. You got to care for your husband, your mate, as he hunts for the food, X, Y, Z, whatever. And now it's been carried on through society, through the generations, to now in a world where we're thriving, and these survivor-based thoughts are channeling HMSs, and one of them is, illogical rules, and it's still evident in the way you operate your life today, okay? So, for example, if you were to look in your life, a lot of women, are upset, are pressuring themselves, are depressed that they can't find a man, that they missed their window to have a kid. And maybe they do want to have a kid, but a lot of times you see that they're just feeling the pressure from these illogical rules that were instilled in them, that they just obey and they adapt into their lives as if it's gold, without analyzing these things. And having that element in a lot of the foundation of you and how you operate, just like, elements and periodic tables in our universe, it builds up a lot of things in you that can harm you big time. Okay. Now, obviously, for a lot of these videos are getting a little bit more drawn out because these chapters are getting more dense, and I want to be able to break things down for everyone and not only do it in a way where I cover everything, but I want to do it in a way where every time you view these videos, it doesn't feel like you're at a lecture. So I'm going to break them down into smaller segments. So I'm going to end this one here, and we're going to pick it up on the next video. Peace.